Alright, greetings again, everyone. Hopefully, I will be able to move my microphone without screeching everyone's ears. This is Nick with xero-technologies.net LLC. What you see there is the terminal mechanic I've been working on for Desolate Star. As earlier, I posted a video. I am working on a mechanic for a game for Desolate Star. Let me just kind of hide some things here and show you guys what I'm working on. So we've got these three terminals. The info terminal we built earlier today. Actually, you know what? Let me just go ahead and load the game and I'll just kind of show you guys what's going on and get everybody caught up. So there's three terminals. We have the info terminal, the journal terminal, and the control terminal. In the game, there will only be physically one terminal standing on the wall. But I'm trying to design a mechanic where I can basically kind of recycle. So we've got a terminal on the wall, and let's say I've got it set up as a journal terminal where an NPC has put in their findings and their information in their journal about what's been going on at the Desolate Star, and you as the player come across this and you want to read up on it. And I type it all out and it looks great to me, but I launch the game and everybody says that sucks, get rid of it, nobody likes it. So I want to be able to recycle it and say, instead of a journal, use some sort of tutorial information, like in a beginning stage or something like that. So I'm basically just using one canvas, multiple groups, and then one big terminal controller script where all of the buttons and everything will work off of. So now that the game's running, I'll kind of show you guys what I've got so far. The control terminal, all it really does, let me fix something right here real quick. The control terminal, when you click on it, just turns off the lights. This is to kind of show proof of concept. Sorry, it's getting a little late. Basically, this particular terminal, when the player interacts with it, it will bring up a screen, something similar to this. And the player will be able to click a button in the terminal screen and turn off the lights, turn on the lights, turn off the gravity, turn on the gravity, redirect power flow for certain components as they need to, etc., etc. So what you just saw was the info terminal. This is what we were working on earlier. Basically, that's pretty much it. Not really a whole lot going on there. It's just, hey, some information's right here. This is essentially the same thing as what we're going to do for the journal terminal, except that there will be entries, multiple entries here. And then it will cycle to these bigger screens of text like this. And then there needs to be a back button to go back to the main console screen, the main menu, where you can select the journal entry and then do as you want from there. So this video is going to be done more or less in the style of a developer video blog or vlog for those of you that call it that. I hate that word. But that's kind of how it's going to flow. It's going to be a little bit long. This one will be probably a little bit longer than even the last one, which I did was almost 50 minutes long. So I've pretty much already got everything set up the way that I want. I'm just essentially copying what I already had for the info terminal, which I'll load it up so it looks like that, except I'm making mistakes already. Okay, let's go ahead and correct the names here. So we'll say this is all background images, background image. Alright, I need to duplicate those, put them up here. Alright, so we'll test it, make sure that we're good. Okay. All the graphics sort of kind of look the same. Sort of kind of look good anyway. Let's move this up there. There we go. So we'll turn that off. And this is by no means what's actually going to end up in Desolate Star. So don't freak out about how horrible the graphics are, because yes, I know. That was free, by the way, the texture, the metal texture. You can watch my previous video on the same thing. I and I go to the website where it is. So you can do that on your own time and take a look at it. What we're going to do for the journal today, I'm thinking if we want to do a scroll rect, kind of like a scroll panel for long journal entries, which is probably the route I will take. Because I haven't done a scroll rect very much, and I'm kind of out of practice, so that part alone may take longer than normal. But here we go. So let's see, we've got our info terminal working. So really all we need is the components for, let me go ahead and turn all this on so we can see it as we build it. So our wall of text is right there. It is currently empty, which is fine. All the text here is good. Okay. Alright, just making sure I've got a few things going here. So we'll have to correct the script here to close this window. And let's go ahead and do that first, since that's pretty easy to do. So we're going to do new script. And we're going to call this open close journal terminal. Keep the same format that we did for the info window. Alright. Hopefully the code is large enough that you guys can see that on the video without having to melt your eyes. Nope. UI. There we go. Alright, so first of all we need the public canvas group. And we'll call this journal terminal. I don't even know what the heck I was typing right there. Let's see, journal terminal group. Okay, go back over here. Let's see. Actually, let's rename this journal terminal group. I think originally I was going to do this as a test and then do the video for it, but screw that noise. Let's just do it. Alright, open and close journal. Journal group. Okay. And we're essentially just going to copy the code from the other script that we had right here. And just use this. That's pretty much all we had. So there's the code. I'll go ahead and leave it up there for just a second so you guys can see it. Pause the video if you want. We're moving on. And copy. Okay, now we're going to do replace all this info terminal crap with journal terminal crap. I wonder how many times I'm going to say germinal. Like apparently the entire game is infected with germs, and the germs are in terminals apparently. Alright. Sorry about the delay there. Alright, going back over here. So we've got our close button that we need to correct. So we're going to change our open and close journal. So we're going to do a close terminal. Or, yes, close terminal. Okay. So let's see. Actually, we need to do quite a bit of testing as we move through this before we actually get started. And so I'm going to load up the game, make sure that the cursor blink works. It does, which is, it's completely generally useless right now. It doesn't do anything. It's not an actual like terminal that the player can actually type in. And for some reason that is disabled. Why are you disabled? Interesting. I have no idea why that button is set that way. Close. Yep. Okay. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. So, anyway, more developer woes. This shit right here. Same crap I did in the other video. Alright, let's try it again. So now, hey, look at that. It's bright green. It's all enabled. Okay, so that works. Control terminal. Yep, that works. Info terminal still works. Cool. That should not work. Okay. Let's go ahead and do that. Switch over to our... Where are we? Germinal. I'm just going to leave it. Just call it Germinal. I got nothing. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead and turn this off. Now we can officially turn it off and it not explode the world. What is going on? Okay. For some reason my buttons aren't showing up in the hierarchy and I don't understand why. Okay, there they are. Interesting. Okay. Let us rename this buttons. Naming is everything, apparently. Okay. So that, terminal controller, open, close terminal, open terminal, save, switch monitors. Let's give it a test. Alright, starting from our baseline, we know that control terminal should turn off the lights. Yep, turns them back on. We know that the info terminal was working before this video. It's working, it's coming on, and buttons enabled, closes it just fine. Journal terminal, okay, that works. Blinky blinky, buttons enabled, turns it off. Info terminal, yep, and yep. Okay, so this is a great place to be. Everything's working, except our journal has nothing in it, which is fine. And we're gonna do... I'm thinking that we might take a different approach to this one that we did on the info terminal. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and turn the canvas completely back on. So you can see how when you hit the interactable, the button turns gray, or gray-esque. There's a grayish tint applied to the green. That means that all controls are essentially disabled. Notice that the text doesn't change color because they're not interactable. They're not buttons. So keep that in mind. If your buttons are ever grayed out and the canvas is on, make sure that one, it's actually enabled completely and you're not just screwing around with the colors. And two, make sure that your interactable for the canvas group is actually set to on. Alright, so let's plan this out. So we really want a couple of buttons in here. We have our wall of text area, which won't necessarily be needed until we have journal text to apply. So what we're going to end up doing is turning this text off and on, and then filling in this text box with journal text. So let's go ahead and journal text output. So that's where our journal text is ultimately going to be. Now we also need to create a back button to go back, kind of like a, I don't want to say like a Windows, like a browser style back button, but essentially that's what we want to do. So I kind of want to get rid of that command line blinker down there now. Now that we did all that work for it, I kind of want to get rid of it. Let me think for a second. You know what? Let's get rid of it. We don't need it for this one. Okay. Get rid of all that. Now, we still have our journal box, and you can see where the where the actual size of it is roughly right about here to here. So we can actually expand this since we're taking away our cursor line, and it will still be reasonably, it'll make sense in a way. So let's go ahead and do a UI text, and we'll make this a button like we did previously with the close button up there. And let's see, back. Okay, 40. Okay, let's do center, and we'll make it a little bit bigger. Actually, let's do that. I'm really going by the circle. I don't know if you can see it there, but it's right in the middle. I'm trying to line that up with the dotted line or the hashed line, which is the center line of the UI. So right about there. There we go. Alright. Now I'm all screwed up. Chunk. Alright. So we've got our button down there. Now we need a script that will... So here's the thing. This back button won't be needed. It won't even need to be there until we've gone one hierarchy down from the main menu of elements. So essentially, the main menu will have journal entry dates, and then when you click on that date, it'll put the journal output on the screen, and then post the back button. And then when you hit the back button, it will remove the text in the journal entry output, hide the... let's see, how can we do this? Because now we're talking layers. We got to think layers too. So we'll have to figure out a way to make the buttons completely, essentially, not really destroyed, but just useless. Not interrupt recast at all. So let's do... Let's render the journal text output above the journal entry buttons. So we'll do, say, entry 1, entry 2, oops, and entry 3. And we want these above our journal text output. Change all their color to green, and we'll do 50 on the output. Okay. Alright, so move this over here, and let's see, let's put in some dates for the journal entry. So we'll say entry February, whatever today is, 8/2016, and it's going to be a button. So we're going to put the brackets around it in that format style that we've been using. Okay. Actually, let's go and nuke those. That way we're not having to do too much work. We're only going to do 3 entries. We can always do more statically as we need to later on in the life cycle of the game. Alright, zoom in here a little bit. So let's give ourselves a little more room. We got plenty of room to work with here. Not worried about real estate at the moment. Okay, and we'll do let's do reverse chronological order. So then we'll do 20th of January. Oops. Okay, and then in journal 3, let's say this is the oldest entry. I'll go with December 12, 2015. Alright, so then we're going to take our button component, button script right here. Copy component. We're also going to dump it on our back button Paste component as new. Now see, this is down here. This is a closed terminal. We don't want that. Click on it, highlight it, remove it. And then on entry 1, 2, and 3, we all want the button script. Oops. Paste component is new. And we're going to remove that. So now they all individually have a button script that we can apply different buttons to. Different scripts for the buttons. So here's where it's going to get annoying. And this is where I don't really like the ideas that I've come up with so far. So essentially each one of these is going to be an individual button. Okay? And it will load up this journal text output, and text will throw out there, and then the back button will be enabled. Back button will take you back to this main menu. It'll disable itself, but we'll have to do a lot of scripts. So we're probably going to end up coming up with a different solution for this. But for practicality's sake, let's go ahead and make a couple of entries. Go ahead and set entries for all of these, or set journal entries for them. And then we will figure out, see if we can figure out a better solution long term. So let's go to our terminal controller. Let's create a new script. And we're going to think long term and globally. So we'll call this the journal controller. I'll toss this onto our terminal controller. Oh, shut up, Unity. It's not my fault you're so damn slow. Armageddon. Okay. Journal controller. There it is. Alright, we already know we're going to need our UI elements. And I haven't saved the game in a while, so go ahead and do that. Alright. So, we can do a number of different things. Let's see, public. I'm thinking, y'all. Hang on. You can do an array to house all of the buttons so that we can hide them easier. That'd be an easy way to hide all the buttons. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's say text. It's an array. We'll call it journal buttons. Okay. And what that will do in the editor here, once it compiles. So we've got our journal buttons drop down here, and we tell it how many buttons are on this particular terminal. So the only downside of this, we'll have to do this script on the physical terminal itself in the actual game launch, which really necessarily wouldn't be a bad thing. It'd be fine. We just have to do a terminal controller for each terminal that we come across in the live game, but this will be fine. So we've got 3 journal entries, so we're going to do 3 buttons, and we'll do entry number 1, entry number 2, entry number 3. Okay? So this will be so that we can hide things. Journal buttons can use array for hiding later. Alright, so what we need, I'm trying to think universally, like how can we use this here on this specific journal, or on this specific terminal, but how can we also recycle this script long term? Alright guys, I'm back. Had to stop the video for a second. I apologize for kind of breaking my vlog design that I was going to do, but I didn't want to sit there and stare at the monitor and make you guys stare at a video for 30 minutes while I did nothing. So here's where I stopped off at, trying to figure out the best way to handle multiple journal entries from multiple terminals and try to put them into one script. So here's our script, and here's how we're going to do this. So this, we're only going to keep this strictly for hiding purposes. For when we click a journal entry, we need all of the buttons to quote unquote hide. I don't really like the way this is actually done, so we're going to actually change this to, let's say, terminal 1. I don't know if it's going to let me do that or not. Let's find out. I've never put a numeral in a script before, so let's see how that actually comes out. Same thing. Cool. Okay, so let's do this. Where's our buttons? Throw those in there. So all we're going to use this for, since we only have one terminal, we're going to call this terminal 1, and we're going to use this array strictly so we can hide all of the buttons that's on this terminal screen when we click a journal button. So what we're actually going to do, we're going to write that function first, and we're going to get rid of this. I'm just going to use this script space and say button hide function for each. Whoa, what is that? Come back. All right, for each gain. No, wait. This is a text object, so we need to say crap. You know what? We probably need to fix this to game object. Come on, recompile. Expected type, expecting blah blah blah. Oh. I hate that Unity can't do basic thinking. Anyway, I know, I'm asking too much. Alright, so we're going to take this, entry 2, and entry 3. Alright, so, for each, alright, so we're going to say game object, what do we want to call this? Button in, I believe that's the right format. So I'm going to show y'all basically where I live, which is on Google. For each. Unity loops. And we're looking for a for each loop. For each in. Okay, good. Get rid of that. Okay, so let's see here. Let me think. So we need to turn the text off and actually disable it. So let's click on one of these guys around here. So we can do this and it will disable it. But we also need to disable the button script as well. Actually, we just need to change the interactable part to that. Why is it changing that? Super weird. Okay, if we turn off the button, what does that do? Does not hide the text. Alright, let's try this. So, for each game object button in terminal 1, we're going to say, let's see, button.getComponent. Let's start with text. Dot enabled equals not that. I'll say button.getComponent. Button dot enabled equals not that. Alright, so here's the thing. We're going to recycle this function later, and we do this a lot, several times in our code, where we have one function that does multiple things, and this is probably the best time when you're doing an on-off switch to do just that. So 2 lines of code technically does 4 things. So it enables or disables the text and the button for whatever we're doing. So we're going to say this dot, and it should get the thing that we need, I believe. I'm going to say, actually, I already had it right. I'm sorry. Okay. So we went from not knowing what to do to drunken game development night. So here we go. Y'all are in for something else. Alright, so here's the thing. We click on that button. We need it to actually do what we just coded. Oops. So we're going to take our terminal controller, journal, and we didn't even code it. Okay, so this is just the hide function. So what we're going to do is actually make a function specifically for the journal entry. Unfortunately, I could not come up with a good way to do multiple journal entries across multiple terminals to one script, except for this. So what we're going to do is void journal and then the date. So this one is February, what, I think it was 8, 2016. And we need that public so we can use it in our button. So what we're going to do is we're going to hide our buttons there. So we're going to say button show hide function. Then we're going to create a variable that is our journal entry, and then we're going to use that variable in the wall o text, which we still have to change to a scroll rect. So first of all, we're going to be doing this really simple. So we're going to say string journal text equals, let's just do something really simple here. Today's date is February 8th. Actually, we're on the 9th, aren't we? 2016. Well, it was the last time I looked. Okay, so there's our string. That's it. That's all we want. So then we actually are going to do, let's do this easier on ourselves. We'll do public text journal output box. Go back over to Unity. Click on our terminal controller. Wait for the friggin' script to compile. There's that, and we're going to say journal text output, journal output box. Okay. And then we're going to say journal output box dot text equals journal text. Pretty simple, right? It hides the buttons, shows the string text, and then does that. Now we also need a function to show or hide the back button. So we're going to do that next. So let's see. We're actually going to call journal button show hide function. And we're going to go down here. Let me think for a second. Do I need this public for anything? I don't believe I do, but we never know when we'll need it. So let's do this. Public void. Sorry, drawing a blank. Show hide back journal back button. Oops. Alright, so as far as I know, the name here is long. The name of the function, the longer it is, it doesn't necessarily take up memory. I mean, I'm sure it does. I don't really care. So I usually use pretty descriptive names for functions, just so when I'm drunk and I'm trying to develop a video game, I remember what the hell they are. So let's see. Let's take our back button, public. game object, oops, big G, back button. Wait for it to recompile. And then drag our back button in there. There we go. And we'll say back button dot get component text enabled equals not whatever it always was. And back button get component. Oops. Error my gird. Get component button enabled. What did I just do? Okay, whatever. Alright. There we go. So, it's same thing as we did before. Whatever it was before, it's going to do the opposite. And then we're just going to call this function right here. Right there. So, first of all, we're going to show or hide the journal button, depending on what it is. If it's on and it's clickable, then duh, it's going to hide it. And hopefully disable it so it's not in the way. It's going to set the string text for the journal to this garbage. And if you want to do multiple lines, let me actually show you how that's done. I am going to do this. Actually, we're going to say, what is it? Sorry, drawing a blank, plus underscore, and then that. Okay. Pretty simple, but it's good for multi-lines. I believe that's correct. If it's not, I haven't done this in a while. Unexpected symbol. Okay. What is the... Maybe I'm thinking wrong programming language. I am. Oh my god. This is why you don't drink and game develop at the same time. Get rid of all that crap. We're all done with that. Where's my scripts? Okay, because we're going to need that. Alright, so that's how you do multiple lines. I have everything zoomed in really, really good, so hopefully you guys can see that okay. That, and I'm blind as a bat, so here's that. So then once we have our text string set up, then it's going to actually set the text to that, and then it's going to show or hide the back button, in which case in this, it'll be disabled, so it's going to disable it. We're going to get rid of that, and we're going to actually change the code on our back button. Now we can use the same thing. See, this is why we think ahead. Journal controller, show hide journal back button. Boom, done. Alright, so let's make sure that it is interactable, it's on. Okay. Now we did have a problem here. I didn't code this, but I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. I don't know what that is. Why is there a random rect transform? Transform. Okay. I just realized there is a random rect transform in the middle of this, and I think that was because I was being stupid. Apparently, I was trying to do a scroll rect, and we'll come back to that. Anyway, it'll work fine. So anyway, what I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted with my own thoughts, I did not code it to hide these other two buttons. So what's going to happen when we run the game is this will probably hide. It should hide. It'll fill in the text, which will be in somewhere in this big old box, which is right there. So it'll probably overwrite that line, but you'll still see these other two buttons. So let's go ahead and test it and see what happens. Worst case scenario, the whole game just crashes. All right, so we're playing, and I know what I should do. Hang on. So let's do this. Let's change the back button. Let's go ahead and disable it. Okay, so it's off. Now we'll play it. Okay. So, oh, we didn't set our button script, did we? Entry 1, we sure didn't. Journal, and then we're looking for the date. Journal, February 8th, 2016. Matches up with our journal entry there in the game. Still nada. What is going on? Did I do... Okay, it's interactable. Okay. Okay, that's right. Yep. And I think because let's try that. Okay, that's what I thought. So we have an interesting problem. Let me go ahead and stop the game, switch monitors, and I'll explain. This is what I was talking about in our previous video, and it just now hit me that it's going to be a mild problem here, but it does help us. So what happened was this journal output, the journal text output, this is the wall of text where the journal entry is actually going to show up. It is lower in the hierarchy, which means it's higher visually in the raycast. When you click down on your mouse, the ray is actually going to go out from the mouse pointer. It's going to go down, think vertically in a 3D world. It's actually going to go down and try to click on said button. Sorry to take my rings off. It's going to click on the said button, and it's going to fire the script. Well, this is actually enabled. And see this raycast target? That's our killer right there, right? So we actually need this to turn off, which means we need to change our code too. So journal button show hide, and then we need to actually. So we set our text, or we set the variable, we set the text, and then we need to enable it. Actually, let's do a variable. Or I'm sorry, a function. Let's see. Public void journal output box show hide. Okay, so then we're going to do, wow, dot enabled equals, wait, is that right? Yes it is. Not whatever. So that should work. Alright, we're going to start off with it disabled, right? So we actually need to change this. Actually, dot text. Is that going to work? Dot text. What is dot enabled? All right, let's just see what this happens. Let's just see what this does and see what happens, rather. I don't like how this is going to work. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. All right, seriously, don't drink and code. Get component text dot enabled equals not that. All right. Ha ha ha. Must be this smart to code. Clear. All right. So right now it is disabled. We're actually going to play the game from the editor view, and we're going to watch what happens to this. And it looks like it is working perfectly fine, but the back button did not enable the way that I would have liked for some reason. But the text totally worked. Alright, so let's take a look at our code here. So, see, oh, there it is. That's what I did wrong. Button. Ugh. If any of you all drink and code develop after this, you should be ashamed. You have no one to blame but yourselves. Okay. Alright. Clicky. Back works. Clicky. Back button does not work. Ooh. Why? The button is not enabled. Look at that. Look at that. It is not enabled. Why? Do we need it enabled? Let's see what happens. So I'm going to click in the area. Okay. Alright, let's try something here real quick. So for some reason, this part does not fire. Oh my god. Seriously, I should stop this video and re-record the whole damn thing. Alright, let's try it again. Okay. Yep. Still nada. And it's still not enabling that button for some reason. See, game object, back button. Okay, drag that in there. Oh. Okay, 1:30 in the morning, drunk, and making a game. Not the best combination in the world. Okay, so that worked. Okay, great. Now, here is the crazy thing. Actually, it's not crazy. It's very, very simple. So, we need another function that's going to fire when the journal... I'm sorry, when the back button is clicked. It needs to hide. So, we're actually going to have to do an if statement. Let's see, if you actually want to do double equals. Okay, so basically what that line is saying is get the component button on the back button, and if the enable equals false. Double equal is a comparison, not an assignment. This single equal is an assignment. This is a comparison. Does this equal to... Think of it like literally 2 letters, equal to false. If it is false, then we need to hide the journal output, the output box. Okay? So we're going to do this. We're just going to call this function, and that should work. So let's test it. Wait for the game to run. Alright, so we click the journal entry, the back button shows up, the journal entry is there, the buttons hide, we click back, and ba-boom. Look at that. Look at that beautiful bean footage. Alright, so why do the other buttons go away if we're not coding them to go away? Because this is showing up as, again, it's higher in the visual hierarchy, but it's lower in the editor hierarchy. So... we don't actually even have to disable the button. Let's try it. Let's do it. Alright, let's see what happens. If it breaks it, so be it. Anytime we can save calls to other functions, even better. Okay, that's what I thought. Super weird, but okay. Alright, so we'll get rid of that. Oh, yeah, kind of forgot we have a for each loop right there. So it does actually get rid of all of them. It hides them. Awkward. Okay. So if it hides it, let's see. If it enabled equals false, then we need to hide this and run this. Oops. Okay, let's give it a shot. Load. Alright, click the journal entry, everything hides, looks great. Bam, done. Alright, that's exactly what I wanted. Right there. Look at that. Let's see what happens. Let's go back in here. Yep, looks good, looks good. Fantastic. That works. That works. We got a blinking cursor still for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Alright. Let's see here. That looks good. Yep. Yep. So actually in this info terminal, we could get rid of this and just change that to a close button. But I don't want to do that. Anyway, I'll modify that later for the game. When I actually implement all of these mechanics into the game, hopefully it will all work. And y'all didn't see a darn look at that. So let's do this again. Control terminal still works. Info terminal. We're talking about getting rid of the blinky cursor down here in the lower left-hand corner. I could get rid of that and just put a close button in the middle there, but I don't really think I like that. But I worry about that when the game, when I'm ready to push this mechanic into the game. I've always wanted to do some measure of command line enter, where the player could actually type in his keyboard, and it would punch in characters in the game. So we may do that. We may do that tonight. I'm just drunk enough that we might try it. So that still works. And then the journal is looking good. Okay, and we can close it, and everything still works magnificently. Took a little bit longer than I wanted because, yes, I did drink and I'm stupid. But anyway, let's go back to the game. Save this. And I'm going to stop the video right here. I'm going to plot out how we can do some measure of command line. And then I think we may actually do that. So I will be back to you shortly. To me, probably about 2 hours.